I didn't realize I muted again. No way. Anyways, I hope you can hear me now. Let me turn down the volume a bit. Okay. I guess this is perfect. Okay, just a little more down. Okay, guess this works. Okay, so what I was saying. So today we're going to do an ASMR reading. But before that, I will try to find any other BGM since this is not perfect for BGM. Okay, I mean, while I search for another BGM, you can clearly hear a bit of ASMR keyboard typing. Let me try to find out a perfect BGM for this. Okay. Let me see. Okay, let me see. Okay. Let me see. Okay, let me try to find something cozy. Stay settings. Okay, let me try to find this one. This could work. Okay, this could probably work. Any other one? No, this is not. No, this one. No, not this one. Okay. No, actually no. No. This one is better. Okay, perfect. Now let me try to download this. Okay, let me try to download this. Okay. Maybe there's no page. File. Perfect. Now got this. And then let me try to find my data. OBS stream. There we go. Perfect. Let me try to mute my BGM now. Okay, cozy BGM. Okay, perfect. Go file. Okay, now. Yes. This one. Oh, shoot. Fuck. Sorry, I was a bit loud. Sorry. Okay. Okay. Perfect. I guess this works. Okay. Okay. I hope you are okay with this BGM. Perfect. Nice. Now let's try this. Okay. But first, I want to ask you something. How was your day? How was your day? I hope your day was okay. And since this is a bit cozy BGM, I guess it will work. Okay. In case you just arrived, we are going to start an ASMR reading. But I'm doing some adjustments first, so we can start. just start this. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Now, okay, so as I was saying, we're going to read a book that I started reading because of a Vtuber, but I missed the fact, and we're going to start this. Oh, well, that's a box. Okay. So, haha. Sorry, my YouTube studio just popped up. I didn't notice. Haha. Okay. So, let me adjust this. Okay. Sorry. I just pull out. Okay. Probably I'll cut this. Okay. Let me just let me adjust some things. Okay. Okay. Hide this. Then YouTube Studio. I don't know why it's not connecting. No. YouTube Studio. I don't know why it's not doing anything. Okay. Let me test the block. No, it's not working. No, it's not working. I don't know why Kbook is not working. Anyways, oh wait, login. Maybe this. No. Okay, no, it's not working. Okay, it works now. I guess it works now. No. Okay, no, this is not working. Okay, let me stop this and clean out from this. Okay. Perfect. It works. Okay. Perfect. Okay. Guess I'm ready. Okay. I'm back. Okay. So what am I saying? I'm going to read the Song of Achilles. And since I started reading this book because of a Vtuber, a Greek woman, and my assumption was to keep going, but I didn't continue reading it. So today I'm going to read it finally. Okay, just once. Okay, so finally. Approximately, let me see. Okay, perfect. So I don't know how many chapters. Okay, 33 chapters. Okay, perfect. Oops. Okay, I didn't do this. Okay, let me just put it again. Perfect. Okay, there we go. Okay, so today we are going to the Song of Achilles. As I was saying before, this was a book that I started reading it because of Primo and Vtuber. Sadly, she graduated, but I decided to start reading it back again. Okay, let me just grab my book here. Okay, perfect. Sorry, my dog is barking. If you can hear it, sorry, bear with me. So let's put this one. Now adjust it. Perfect. Okay, there we go. Perfect. Okay, perfect. Do you love my book? Do you like my book? I hope you love it. Okay, perfect. So, let's start reading it. I'm going to change between whispering and voice, but I hope you will get cozy. Okay? Okay, perfect. Nice, perfect. Okay, chapter 1. My father was a king and the son of kings. He was a short man, as most of us were, and built like a bull, full shoulders. He married my mother when she was 14 and sworn by the priestess to be faithful. It was a good match. She was only a child, like her father's fortune would go to her husband. He did not find out until the wedding that she was simple. Her father had been scrupulous about keeping her veiled until the ceremony. My father had humored him. If she was ugly, there were always slave girls and serving boys. When at last they pulled off the veil, they say my mother smiled. That is how they knew she was quite stupid. Brides did not smile. When I was delivered, a boy, he plucked me from her arms and handed me to a nurse. In pity, the midwife gave my mother a pillow to hold instead of me. My mother hugged it. She did not seem to notice a change had been made. Quickly, I became a disappointment. Small, slight, I was not fast. I was not strong. I could not sing. The best that could be said of me was that I was not sickly. The colds and cramps that seized my peers left me untouched. This only made my father suspicious. Was I a changeling human? He called at me, watching. My hand shook, feeling his gaze, and there was my mother, dribbling wine on herself. I am 5 when it is my father's turn to host the games. Men gather from as far as Thessaly and Sparta, and our storehouses grow rich with their gold. 100 servants work for 20 days, beating out the racing track and clearing it of stones. My father is determined to have the finest games of his generation. Finest? I always confuse this word. I remember the runner's bath, not brown bodies slicked with oil, stretching on the track beneath the sun. They mixed together, broad-shouldered husbands, pearless youths and boys, their calves all thickly carved with muscle. The bull has been killed, sweating the last of its blood into dust and dark brown balls. It went quietly to its death, a good omen for the games to come. The runners are gathered before today's dice, where my father and I sit, surrounded by prizes. We will give to the winners. There are golden mixing bowls for wine, beaten bronze tripods, ashwood spears tipped with precious iron. But the real prize is in my hands, a wreath of dusty green leaves, freshly clipped, rubbed to a shine by my thumb. My father has given it to me grudgingly. He reassures himself. All I have to do is hold it. The youngest boys are running first, and they wait, shuffling their feet in the sand for the nod from the priest. They are in the first flush of growth, bones sharp and spindly, poking against taut skin. My eye catches on a lion head among dozens of dark, tousled crowns. I lean forward to see. Hair lit like honey in the sun, and within it, gleams of gold. The silhouette of a prince. She is shorter than the others, and still plump with shiny wood in a way they are not. His hair is long and tied back with leather. It burns against the dark, bare skin of his back. His face, when he turns, is serious as a man's. When the priest strikes the ground, he slips past the thickened bodies of the other boys. He moves easily, his heels flashing pink as licking tongues. He wins. I stare as my father lifts the garland from my lap and crowns him. The leaves seem almost black against the brightness of his hair. His father, Peleus, comes to claim him, smiling and proud. Peleus' kingdom is smaller than ours, but his wife is rumored to be a goddess. His people love him. My own father watches with envy. His wife is stupid and his son too slow to raise in even the youngest group. He turns to me. This is what a son should be. My hands feel empty without the garland. I watch King Peleus embrace his son. I see the boy toss the garland in the air and catch it again. He's laughing, and his face is bright with victory. Beyond this, I remember little more than scattered images from my life then. My father frowning on his throne, a cunning toy horse I loved. My mother on the beach, her eyes turned towards the Aegean. In this last memory, I am skipping stones for her. Blink, 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 across the skin of the sea. She seems to like the way the ripples look, dispersing back to glass. Or perhaps it is the sea itself she likes. Her temple, a star-boss of white gleams like bone. The scar from the time her father hit her with the hilt of a sword. Her toes poke up from the sand where she has buried them, and I am careful not to disturb them as I search for rocks. I choose one and fling it out, glad to be good at this. It is the only memory I have of my mother, and so good that I am almost sure I have made it up. After all, it was unlikely for my father to have allowed us to be alone together. His simple son and simple wife, and where we are, I do not recognize the beach, the view of coastline. So much has passed since then. Chapter 2. I was summoned to the king. I remember hating this. The long walk up the endless throne room. At the front, I knelt on stone. Some kings chose to have rocks there for the needs of messengers who had long news to tell. My father preferred not to. King Tyndareos' daughter is finally ready for marriage, he said. I knew the name. Tyndareos was king of Sparta and held huge tracts of the richest southern lands, the kind my father coveted. I had heard of his daughter too, rumored to be the fairest woman in our countries. Her mother, Leda, was said to have been ravished by Zeus, the king of the gods himself, disguised as a swan. 9 months later, her womb yielded 2 sets of twins, Clytemnestra and Castor, children of her mortal husband, Helen and Polydeuces, the shining silence of the god. But gods were known to be notoriously poor parents. It was expected that Tyndareos would offer patrimony to all. I did not respond to my father's news. Such things meant nothing to me. My father cleared his throat, loud in the silent chamber. He would do well to have her own We would do well to have her in our family. You will go and put yourself forth as a suitor. There was no one else in the hall, so my startled half on her breath was for his ears alone. But I knew better than to speak my discomfort. My father already knew that all I might say, that I was 9, unsightly, unpromising, uninterested. We left the next morning, our packs heavy with gifts and food for the journey. Soldiers escorted us in the finest hour. I don't remember much of the trip. It was overland, through our countryside that left no impression. At the head of the column, my father dictated new orders to secretaries and messengers who rode off in every direction. I looked down at the leather reins, smoothed their nap with my thumb. I did not understand my place here. It was incomprehensible as much of what my father did was. My jockey swayed, and I swayed with him, glad for even this distraction. We're not in the first suitors to arrive at Tyndareos Citadel. The stables were full of horses and mules, busy with servants. My father seemed displeased with the ceremony afforded us. I saw him rub a hand over the stone of the hearth in our rooms, frowning. I have brought a toy from home, a horse whose legs could move. I lifted one hoof, then the other, imagined that I had ridden him instead of the donkey. A soldier took pity on me and lent me his dice. I clattered them against the floor until they showed all sixes in one throw. Finally, a day came in which my father ordered me bathed and brushed. He had me change my tunic, then change again. I obeyed, though I saw no difference between the purple with gold or crimson with gold. Neither had my knobby knees. My father looked powerful and severe, his black beard slashing across his face. The gift that we were presented to Tandareus stood ready. Beaten gold mixed bow and boast with the story of the Princess Danae. Zeus had wooed her in a shower of golden light, as she had borne with Perseus, Gorgon slayer, second only to Heracles among our heroes. My father handed it to me. "Do not disgrace us," he said. I heard the great hall before I saw it, the sound of hundreds of voices banging against the stone walls, the clatter of goblets and armor. The servants had thrown open the windows to try to dampen the sound. They had hung tapestries, well indeed, on every wall. I had never seen so many men I had never seen so many men inside before. Not men, I corrected myself. Kings. We were called forward to council, seated on benches, draped with cowhide. Servants faded backwards to the shadows. My father's fingers dug into my collar, warning me not to fidget. There was violence in that room, with so many princes and heroes and kings competing for a single prize. But we knew how to ape civilization. One by one, they introduced themselves. These young men, showing off shiny hair and neat waists and expensively dyed clothing. Many were the sons of grandsons of gods. All had a song or two, or more, written of their deeds. Tandareus greeted each in turn, accepted their gifts in a pile at the center of the room, invited each to speak and present his suit. By the way, if I misspelled some names, sorry. Okay. My father was the oldest among them, except for the man who, when his turn came, named himself Philoctetes, a comrade of Heracles. The man beside us whispered, with an awe I understood. Heracles was the greatest of our heroes, and Philoctetes had been the closest of his companions, the only one still living. His hair was grey, and his thick fingers were all tendon. This snewy dexterity that marked an archer, and indeed, a moment later, he held up the largest bow I had ever seen. Polished yew wood with a lion skin grip. The bow of Heracles, Philoctetes named it, given to me at his death. In our lands, a bow was mocked as the weapon of cowards, but no one could say such a thing about this bow. The strength it would take to draw it humbled us all. The next man, his eyes painted like a woman, spoke his name. Idomeneus, king of Crete. He was lean. His long hair fell to his waist when he stood. He offered bare iron, a double-headed axe, the symbol of my people. His movements reminded me of the dancers that my mother liked. And then, Menelaus, son of Atreus, seated beside his hawking, bear-like brother Agamemnon. Menelaus' hair was a startling red, the color of fire-forged bronze. His body was strong, stocky with muscles. The gift he gave me was a rich one, beautifully dyed cloth. Though the lady needs no adornment, he added, smiling. This was a pretty bit of speech. I wish I had something as clever to say. I was the only one here under 20, and I was not descended from a god. Perhaps Peleus' blonde-haired son would be equal to this, I thought. But his father had him at home. Man after man, their names began to burn in my head. My attention wandered to the days when I noticed, for the first time, the three veiled women seated at Tandareo's side. I stared at the white cloth over their faces, as if I might be able to catch some glimpse of the woman behind it. My father wanted one of them for my wife. 3 sets of hands, prettily adorned with bracelets, lay quiet in their laps. One of the women was taller than the other 2. I thought I saw a straight dark curl peek from beneath the bottom of her veil. Helen is light-haired, I remembered. So that one was not Helen. I had ceased to listen to the kings. Welcome, Minoticius. Speaking of my father's name startled me. Nereus was looking at us. I am sorry to hear of the death of your wife. My wife lives, Nereus. It is my son who comes today to wed your daughter. There was a silence in which I knelt, dizzied by the spin of faces around me. Your son is not yet a man. Nereus' voice seemed far away. I could detect nothing in it. He need not be. I am man enough aboard us. Was the sort of jest our people loved, blood, oath, and boasting. But no one laughed. I see, said Nereus. The stone floor dug into my skin, yet I did not move. I was used to kneeling, and never before been glad of the practice in my father's throne room. My father spoke again in the silence. Others have brought bronze and wine, oil and wool. I bring gold, and it is the only small portion of my stores. I was aware of my hands on a beautiful bow, touching the story's views. Thieves appearing from the streaming sunlight, the startled princess, their coupling. My daughter and I are grateful that you have brought us such a worthy gift, though hardly to do, a murmur from the kings. There was humiliation here that my father did not seem to understand. My face flushed with it. I will make Helen the queen of my palace, for my wife, as you know well, is not fit to rule. My wealth exceeds all of these young men, and my deeds speak for themselves. I thought the suitor was your son. I looked up at the new voice, a man who hadn't spoken yet. He was the last in line, sitting at the ease on the bench, his curly hair gleaming in the light of the fire. He had a jagged scar on one leg, a seam that stitched his dark brown flesh from heel to knee, wrapping around the muscles of the calf and burying itself in the shadow beneath his tunic. He looked like he had been a knife, I thought, or something like it, creeping upwards and leaving behind feather edges, whose softness built the violence that must have caused it. My father was angry. Son of Latress, I do not remember inviting you to speak. The man smiled. I was not invited, I interrupted, but you need not fear my interference. I have no vested interest in the matter. I speak only as an observer. A small movement from the dais drew my eye. One of the veiled figures had stirred. What does he mean? My father was frowning. If he's not here for Helen, then for what? Let him go back to his rogues and his goats. The man's eyebrows lifted, but he said nothing. Nereus was also mild. If your son is to be a suitor, as you say, let him present himself. Even I knew it was my turn to speak. I am Patroclus, son of Menicius. My voice sounded high and scratchy with disuse. I am here as a suitor for Helen. My father is a king and the son of kings. had no more to say. My father had not instructed me. He had not thought that Tindarius would ask me to speak. I stood and carried the bowl to the pile of gifts, placed it where it would not topple. I walked back to my bench. I had not disgraced myself with trembling or tripping, and my words had not been foolish. Still, my face burned with shame. I knew how I must look to these men. Oblivious, the line of suitors moved on. The man kneeling now was huge, half again as tall as my father, and broad besides. Behind him, two servants raised an enormous shield. It seemed to stand with him as part of his suit, reaching from his fuse to his crown. No ordinary man could have carried it, and it was no decoration, scarf and hacked edges bore witness to the battles he had seen. Ajax, son of Telamon. This giant named himself. His speech was blunt and short, claiming his lineage from Zeus and offering his mighty size as proof of his great-grandfather's continuing favor. His gift was a spear, supple wood, beautifully cut. The fire-forged point gleamed in the light of the torches. At last, it was the man with the scar's turn. Well, son of Laertes, Tindarius shifted his seat to face him. What does a disinterested observer have to say to these proceedings? The landman leaned back. I would like to know how you are going to stop the losers from declaring war on you, or on Hillen's lucky new husband. I see half a dozen men here ready to leap at each other's throats. You seem amused. The man shrugged. I find the folly of men amusing. The son of Laertes scorned sauce. This was the large man, Ajax, his clenched fist as big as my head. Son of Telamon. Never. Then what, Odysseus? Speak your mind, for once. Tindarius' voice was as sharp as I'd heard. Odysseus shocked again. This was a dangerous gamble, despite the treasure and renown you have won. Each of these men is worthy, and he knows it. They will not be so easily put off. All this you have said to me in private. My father stiffened beside me. Conspiracy. His was not the only angry face in the hall. True, but now I offer you a solution. He held up his hands, empty. I have brought no gift and do not seek to woo Helen. I am a king, as has been said, of frogs and goats. In return for my solution, I seek from you the price that I have already named. Give me the solution and you shall have it. Again, that slight movement from the days. One moment's hand had twitched against her companion's dress. Then here it is. I believe that we should let Helen choose. Odysseus paused to allow for the murmurs of disbelief. Women did not have a say in such things. No one may fault you then, but she must choose now, at this very moment, so she would not be said to have taken counsel or instruction from you. And, he held up a finger, before she chooses, every man here must swear an oath to uphold Helen's choice and to defend her husband against all who would take her from him. I felt the unrest in the room. An oath? And over such an unconventional matter as a woman choosing her husband, the men were suspicious. Very well. Tindarius, his face unreadable, turned to the view woman. Helen, do you accept this proposal? Her voice was low and lovely, carrying to every corner of the hall. I do. It was all she said, but I felt a shiver go through the men around me. Even as a child, I felt it, and I marveled at the power of this woman who, though veiled, could electrify a room. Her skin, we suddenly remembered, was rumored to be gilded. Sorry, I don't know how to spell it. Her eyes dark and shiny as the slick obsidian that we traded our olives for. At that moment, she was worth all the prizes in the center of the hall, and more. She was worth of lives. Tenderius nodded. Then I decree that it is so. All those who wish to swear will do so now. I heard muttering, a few half-angry voices, but no man left. Helen's voice, and the view, gently fluttering with her breath, held us all captive. The swiftly summoned priest let a white go to the altar. Here, inside, he was a more propitious choice than a bull, whose throat might splash unwholesomely upon the stone floor. The animal died easily, and the man mixed its dark blood with cypress ash from the fire. The bow hissed, loud in the silent room. You will be first. Tenderius pointed to Odysseus. Even a 9-year-old saw how fitting this was. Already Odysseus had shown himself too clever by half. Outraged alliances prevail only when no man was allowed to be too much more powerful than another. Around the room, I saw smirks and satisfaction among the kings. He would not be allowed to escape his own noose. Odysseus' mouth quivered in a half smile. Of course, it is my pleasure, but I suggested that it was not so. During the sacrifice, I had watched him lean back into the shadows, as if he would be forgotten. He rose now, moved to the altar. Now, Helen, Odysseus paused, his arm half extended to the princess. Remember that I swear only in fellowship, not as a sweetheart. You would never forgive yourself if you were to choose me. His words were teasing, and drew scattered laughter. We all knew it was not likely that one so luminous as Helen would choose the king of barren Ithaca. One by one, the princess summoned us to the hearth, marking our wrists with blood and ash, binding as chains. I chanted the words of the oath back to him, my arm lifted for all to see. When the last months had returned to his place, Tenderius rose. Choose now, my daughter. Menelaus, she spoke without hesitation, startling us all. He had expected suspense and decision. I turned to the red-haired man, who stood, a huge grin cracking his face. In outsized joy, he clapped his silent brother on the back. Everywhere else was anger, disappointment, even grief, but no man reached for his sword. The blood had dried thick on our wrists. Wow. So be it, Tenderius stood also. I am glad to welcome a second son of Atreus to my family. You shall have my healing, even as your worthy brother once claimed my Clytemnestra. He gestured to the tallest woman, as though she might stand. She need not move. Perhaps she had not heard. What about the third girl? They shout from a small man beside the giant Ajax. Your niece. Can I have her? The man laughed, glad for an easy invitation. You are too late, Tusa. Odysseus spoke over the noise. She's promised to me. I did not have the chance to hear more. My father's hand seized my shoulder, pulling me angrily on the bench. We are finished yet. We left that very night for home, and I climbed back on my donkey, thick with disappointment. I had not even been allowed to glimpse Helen's family face. My father would never mention the trip again. I was home, the events twisted strangely in my memory. The blood and the oath, the room full of kings. They seemed distant and pale, like something a bird had spun, rather than something that lived. Had I really known them before them? And what of the oath I had sworn? It seemed absurd even to think of it, foolish and improbable as a dream is by there. Wow. Wow. I can't believe it. Not so long, and we are passing through very twisted things. I can't believe that. Okay, let me take a little break, okay? We are very well, okay? We are very well. Okay. Okay. Chapter 3. I stood in the field. In my hands were 2 pairs of dice. A gift. Not my father. I'll never think of it. Not my mother. Okay, whispering is not working. Okay, here I go. Let me just... Okay, I guess I'm good. In this way. Okay, perfect. I hope you hear me now. Okay, perfect. Let me just turn on a bit. Okay, perfect. Chapter 3. I stood in the field. In my hands were 2 pairs of dice. A gift. Not from my father. I would never think of it. Not from my mother, who sometimes did not know me. I could not remember who had given them to me. I was thinking, a favorite noble. They were carved from ivory and set with onyx, smooth under my thumb. It was late summer, and I was panting with my crop to play Palace. Since the day of the races, I had been appointed and mandatory me in all our athletic arts, boxing, sword, and spear, discuss. But I had escaped him and glowed with the giddy loneliness of solitude, and it was the first time I had been alone in weeks. Then the boy appeared. His name was Glyconimus, and he was the son of a nobleman who was often at the palace. Older, larger, and unpleasantly fleshy, his eyes had caught the flash of the dice in my palm. He leered at me, held his hand. Let me see then. No, I did not want his fingers on them, grubby and thick, and I was the prince, however small. Did I not even have a decent right? But these noble sons were used to me doing what they wished. They knew my father would not intervene. I want them. He didn't bother to threaten me, yet I hated him for it. I should be worth threatening. I should be worth threatening. He stepped forward. Let me have them. They are mine. I grew teeth. I snapped like the dogs who fight our table scraps. just took them, and I shoved him backwards. He stumbled, and I was glad that he would not get me. What was mine? Hey! He was angry. I was small. I was reborn to be simple. If he backed down now, it could be a disorder. He abandoned me, face red, without meaning to. I stepped back. He's better than. I am not calm. His rose, and my skin went hot. Your father thinks you are. His words were deliberate, as if he were safer in them. I heard you telling my father, so I did not. But I knew he had. The boy stepped closer. He lifted the fist. Are you calling me a whore? I knew that he would get me now. He was just waiting for an excuse. I could imagine the way my father would have said it. Coward. I touched my hands on his chest and shook as hard as I could. Thomas should not hurt. I am making excuses. It was also a Bronx. He had thought against stone, and I saw the surprised pop of his eyes. The ground around him began to bleed. I stared, my throat closing in horror out what I had done. I had not seen the death of a human before. Yes, the bones and the coats, even the bloodless gasping of fish, and I had seen it in my paintings, the tapestries, the black figures poured them onto our platters. But I had not seen this. The run of it, the choke and scrabble, the smell of the socks. I fled. Sometime later, they found me by the gnarled ankles of my olive tree. I was limp and pale, surrounded by my own vomit. The dice were gone, lost in my flight. My father stared down angrily at me. His lips choked back to show his yellowing teeth. He gestured, and the servants lifted me and carried me inside. The boy's family demanded immediate exile or death. They were powerful, and this was their eldest son. They might permit a king to burn their fields or rape their daughters, as long as the baby was made. But you did not touch my sons. For this, the nobles were riot. They all knew the rules, but competent to avoid the anarchy that was always a year's breath away. Brotherhood. The Sebas made a sign against Leo. My father had spent his life scrambling to keep his kingdom. I would not risk listening over such a son as me. My ears as the worms that bore them were so easy to come by. So he agreed. I will be exiled and fostered in another man's kingdom. In exchange for my weight in gold, they will rear me to manhood. I will have no parents, no family name, no inheritance. In our day, death was preferable, but my father was a practical man. My weight in gold was less than the expense of the lavish funeral my death would have demanded. This was how I came to be dead, and unproven. This is how I came to Phidia. Tiny gemstone-sized Phidia was the smallest of our countries, set in a northern arc of the land between the ridges of Floraria and the sea. Its king, Peleus, was one of those men whom the gods love, not divine himself, but clever, brave, handsome, and excelling all his peers in pity. As a reward, our divinities offered him a sea nymph for a wife. It was considered their highest honor. After all, what mortal would not want to bet a goddess and sire a son from her? I do. Just kidding. Okay. It was considered their highest honor. After all, what mortal would not want to bet a myself from her, knowing everything. Divine blood purify our body race, breathing heroes from dust and clay, and this goddess brought a greater promise. Still, the faith had foretold that her son would more surpass his father. Peleus' line would be assured, but like all the gods' gifts, there was an edge to it. The goddess herself was unwilling. Everyone, even the story of Titi's ravishment. The gods had led Peleus to the secret place where she could sit upon the beach. They had warned him not to waste time with overtures. She would never consent to marriage with a mortal. They warned him to come what he had her, but that if Thetis was wily, like her father, Perseus, and the slippery old man of the sea, she knew how to make her skin flow in 1,000 different shapes of fur and feather and flesh, and with beaks and claws and teeth and claws and sticking tails won't play him. Still, Peleus must not let her go. Peleus was a pious and obedient man and did all that the gods expected him to do. He waited for her to emerge from the slightly cold waves. Their black as long as horse tail. Then he seized her, holding on the spiral violent struggles, squeezing until they were both exhausted, breathless, and scraped. The blood from the wounds she had given him mixed with his spears of lost maidenhead of her lives. Her resistance mattered no longer, and the flowering was as binding as marriage vows. The gods forced her to swear that she would stay in her mortal husband for at least a year. She served her time on earth as the duty was, silent, unresponsive, and sullen. When he clasped her, she did not twist in protest. Instead, she lay stiff and silent, damp and chilled as an old fish. The womb bore only a single child. The hour of sentence was finished. She ran out of the house and dove back into the sea. She would return only to visit the boy, never for any other reason, and never for long. The rest of the time, the child was raised by tutors and nurses, and overseen by Phoenix, Peleus' most trusted concealer. Did Peleus regret the gods gave to him? An ordinary wife who counted herself lucky to find a husband, but Peleus mindless, his smile lined face, but for the sea nymph that is nothing could ever glimpse the sting of his dirty, moral mediocrity. I was led through the palace by a servant whose name I had not caught. Perhaps he had not said it. The house was smaller than a home, as if I was even straight with the modesty of the kingdom. Take over. Wait, this got an easy part. The walls unforced were local marble, wider than what was found in the south. My feet were dark. I had nothing with me. My few belongings were being carried to my room, and the gold my father sent was on its way to the treasury. I had felt a strange panic as I was parted from it. It had been my companion from the weeks of travel, a reminder of my worth. I knew its contents by heart now. The 5 goblets with engraved stems, a windhope, scepter, a beaded gold necklace, the ornamental statues of birds, and a carved lyre. Glided at its tips. This last I knew was cheating. Food was cheap and plentiful and heavy and took up space that should have been used for gold. Yet the Noru was so beautiful, you could object to it. It had been a piece of my mother's story. As we rode, I would reach back into my saddlebags to store the Polish wood. I guess that I was being led to the throne room, where I could kneel and bow out my gratitude. But the servant stopped suddenly at the side door. King Pelios was absent. He told me to present myself before his son instead. I was unnerved. This was not what I had prepared myself for. The course I practiced on turkey back. Pelios' son. I could still remember the dark breath against his bright hair. The way his big soles flashed along the track. This is what a song should be. He was lying on his back on a wide, bent-out bench, balancing a letter on his stomach. Idly, he plucked at it. He did not hear me enter, or he did not choose to look. This is how I first began to understand my place here. Until this moment, I had been a prince, expected and announced. Now, I was eligible. I took another step forward, and scuffing my feet like his head. He decided to guard me. In the 5 years since I had seen him, he had outgrown his babish roundness. I gaped at the cold shock of his beauty, deep red eyes, features fine as a girl's. It struck from his sudden, sprinkling dislike. I had not changed so much, nor so well. He yawned, his eyes heavy lidded. What's your name? His kingdom was half a quarter, an eighth of the size of my father's, and I had killed a boy and been exiled, and still he did not know me. Sorry. I should shout and couldn't speak. He asked again, louder. What's your name? My silence was excusable the first time. Perhaps I had not heard him. Now it was not. Mr. Reglas. It was the name my father had given me. Not fully, but unjudiciously at my birth. I didn't taste the bitterness of my tongue. He meant. I waited for him to make a joke out of it. So witty, deep about my disgrace. He did not. Perhaps I thought. He is too stupid to. He rolled onto his side to face me. A stray lock of gold fell half into his eyes. He rolled away. My name is Achilles. After reaching up, I think in pure acknowledgement, we regarded each other for a moment. Then he blinked and yawned again. His mouth cracked wide as a cat's. Welcome to Lydia. I had been raised in a court on due dismissal when I heard it. I discovered that afternoon that I was not the only foster child of Pelios. The modest king knew how to be reaching past the souls. He had once been a runaway himself. He was reported and had a reputation for dirty the horse exiles. My bed was abandoned in a long boring filled with other boys to sleep and talking. Other one showed me where 9 things had been bought up, but the boys lit my head. I am sure one of them spoke to me, asked my name. I am sure I gave it. They returned to the games. One important, I walked still back to my pallet and waited for dinner. Someone to meet at dusk by bell. Frogs struck from deep in the palace sternings. Wait a second. That's not what I meant to. Anyways. Okay, here we go. The boys dropped their computer games and toppled out into the hallway. The complex was built like a rabbit warren, full of twisted corridors and southern inner rooms. They already tripped over the heels of the boy in front of me. The little being left behind and lost. The room for meals was a long hall at the front of the palace, and the windows opening into others foothills. It was large enough to feed all of us, many times over. Peleus was a king who liked to host another day. We sat on his oak wood benches and tables that were scratched from years of clattering plates. The food was simple, but plentiful. Southern fish and thick bread served with our cheese. There was no flesh here of goats or bulls. That was only for royalty or festival days. Across the room, I caught a flash of bright hair in lamplight. Achilles, he said with a cruel voice, whose mouths were white with laughter. He said, "Ordo, that is what a prince should be." I stared down at my bread, its coarse grains that rolled against my fingers. After supper, we were allowed to do as we liked. Some boys were gathering in a corner for a game. "Do you want to play?" One asked. His hair was still in giant quarters. He was younger than I was. "Play." "Nice." He opened his hand to show them the carved ball with black tie. I started, stepping backwards. "No," I said too loudly. He blinked in surprise. "White." He shrugged and was gone. That night, I dreamt of the dead boy. His skull cracked like an egg against the ground. He has followed me. The blood spreads dark as spilled wine. Okay, his eyes open and his mouth begins to move. I clap my hands over my ears. The voices of the dead were said to have the power to make them vivid. I must not hear him speak. I woke in terror, hoping I had not screamed aloud. The pinpricks of stars outside the window were the only light. There was no moon I could see. My breathing was harsh in silence, and the marjorie ticking of the maps crackled softly beneath me, rubbing its fingers against my back. The presence of the other voice did not come for me. Our dead come for the vengeance of some witnesses. The stars turned and sour. The moon crept across the sky. When my eyes struck the jaws closed again, he was waiting for me still, covered in blood. His face as pale as bone. Of course he was. So he set early to the endless glow of the other world. Exile might satisfy the anger of the living, but did not appease the dead. I woke and my limbs heavy and tall. The other boys surged around me, dressing for breakfast, eager for the day. Word has spread quickly on my strangeness, and the younger boy did not approach me again with dice or anything else. At breakfast, my fingers pushed bread between my lips, and my throat swallowed. Milk was brought me. I drank it. And of course, we were led to the dusty sun of the practice. Sorry, not practice. Practice. The dusty sun of practice yards of creating spear and sword. Here is where I tasted the full truth of Peleus' kindness. Right and in depth. We will one day make him fine army. I was given a spear and closed the hand corner to my grip. Then grabbed it again. I threw and raised the edge of the oak to target. The master blew out a breath and passed me a second spear. My eyes traveled over the other boys, searching for Peleus' son. He was not there. I sighted once more an oak, and its bark pitted and cracked, oozing some from punctures. I threw, episode through like, then higher still. My throat dry and hot, scratched up with burning dust. When the masters released us, most of the boys fled to the beach, where small breezes still stirred. There were the Italians unraced, shouting jokes. In the sharp, slanted dialect of the north, my eyes were heavy in my head, my arm ached from the partisan search. Beneath this scrubby shade of a little tree, staring out over the ocean's waves. No one spoke to me. I was easy to ignore. It was now so very different from home. Creepy. The next day, it was the same. Wearing exercises. Then, a long afternoon hours alone. At night, the moon's sliver smaller and smaller. I started until I could see when even when I closed my eyes. The yellow, pure bright against the dark of the islands. I hope that it might keep the visions of the boy at bay. A goddess of the moon is gifted with magic, with power over the dead. She could banish the dreams if she wished. She did not. The boy came, night after night, with his stern eyes and scared skull. Sometimes he turned a short bit of his head in his hand, burned the soft mass of his brain hooked loose. Sometimes he reached for me. I would wake, choking in my horror, and stared at the darkness until down. So that was chapter 3. Yeah, I just hit the mic. Okay. It was a tough episode. Sorry. It was a tough episode. Chapter. Oh fuck. Sorry. It was a tough episode. Okay. Okay, so wow. I don't know. Wow. I don't know what to say, honestly. I don't know what to say. I mean it was an interesting one. It is an interesting one, okay? Actually, it is an interesting one. Wow. I can't believe that I read it. Yeah. This book was slightly interested because a Vtuber, a grey woman, back in the day, started reading it as an ASMR. And now, I'm actually reading it. I don't remember what chapters she read back in the day. I don't remember, but I remember reading along with her. Okay. So, that was the first 3 chapters of Song of Achilles. Wow. It was an unexpected one. Okay, but at least we reached something. We reached something. Well, let's just stop it, okay? I will try to continue ASMR, okay? Well, what ASMR can do now? Okay, I have some ideas for my game overlay because I don't have an actual overlay for actually have a normal name, but not for. Not actually for hashtag or something like that. So my suggest, if I can be suggested, is like I could put a game title on the gaming overlay. I don't know, maybe, because right now I only receive notifications for raids or notifications of raids or something like that. Rating channels. I only have notifications for rating channels or following, but I don't know how the following will work. So my suggestion is that I put what game I'm playing now. Okay, what game I'm playing now. Yeah. An idea that I could take advantage of it. Okay. Well, that was an interesting one. Yeah. Well, I guess it's time for me to go. But I hope you had a cozy game. Okay. So for me, I guess it's time for me to go. Sorry if the stream was short, but I didn't schedule it properly. But I hope that you catch me on the other side, okay? I will let this cozy music. I love this cozy music. I could probably do it for next ratings. Yeah. Yeah, I guess that will work. It was a quick one. Okay, so I guess that's it for today. I hope you had a good reading with me. I don't know. Yeah. I will end the stream with this cozy BGM, okay? Okay. Well, I hope you got a good sleep for now. Okay. See you guys in the next stream, and I hope to stream Saturday after, and maybe we could try Overwatch. Maybe. Okay, guys. See you next time. First, let me try let me see who's live right now. Okay. No. Following. Only regla. Okay, no. Yeah, probably no. Nah, let's not rate anyone for now. Okay, guys. See you in the next stream, or probably on Sunday, Saturday. Sorry. Bye, guys. Bye. Have a good sleep. Bye. Bye.